Hey, what's up? I'm Channel Pup Fanboy Supervillain. Sonic X Shadow Generations is just around the corner, releasing next month. A remaster of the 2011 game with a brand new chapter added on. Short of actually playing the game, I've analyzed that pretty thoroughly for the time being, so before Sonic X Shadow Generations releases, let's look at the last remaster that Sega released for Sonic the Hedgehog. One from a bygone age when the world was looking very different. I am, of course, talking about Sonic Colors Ultimate. Yeah, been a while since we dusted this one off. Be sure to subscribe, the link to my Patreon is in the description below. All support is super appreciated, thank you very much. Sonic Colors Ultimate released late 2021 as a part of Sonic's 30th anniversary celebration. Presumably this was just kind of something to tide us fans over until the next big game, which would be Sonic Frontiers. It meant that for the 30th anniversary of Sonic, they did at least have a game ready to go. But this wasn't exactly Sonic Generations as far as anniversary titles go. This was quite obviously just something that they could chuck out of the door quite quickly, as a means of saying, yeah, there was something for the 30th anniversary game-wise. But when I think of Sonic's 30th anniversary, I really think of the Sonic Symphony livestream. There were tons of lockdowns around the world because of the pandemic, and there was no better excuse to just cozy up and watch the live stream of the Sonic Symphony, and it was wonderful. But when it came to the games, they weren't exactly aiming for the fences for the 30th anniversary. In fact, I believe Sonic Frontiers was meant to release for the 30th anniversary, but had to be delayed, and we've got Iizuka to thank for that, because if the final product is anything to go by, I cannot imagine releasing Sonic Frontiers a year earlier. So Sonic Colors Ultimate was a super safe bet. Sonic Colors being a really well-received game, it was a Nintendo Wii exclusive, so this meant that they could bring it to a new audience, and Sonic Colors was a decent pick for a game to introduce fans of the Sonic movie to the games. So it's a little swing that should have scored a home run. But nonetheless, the game released, and we had a product that, at best, was evidently a Wii game that had been spruced up just a little bit to look a little less out of place on modern consoles. And I know I'm in the minority here in thinking that Sonic Colors Ultimate does, for the most part, look better than the Wii version. It's a hill I'll die on. Yes, Sonic looks like a glow stick. Yes, Tropical Resort is dark, but it's a neon Sonic game. That's kind of cool. But I won't pretend that this gave Sonic Colors the treatment that the art direction of that game truly deserved. Purely from an artistic standpoint, Sonic Colors is one of the better looking Sonic games, which is amazing considering the constraints that come with Wii hardware. In terms of bringing that to the next generation, yeah, I don't mind the way it looks, but it could certainly have looked a lot better. Also, bear in mind, I'm still on the at best part of this. At worst, we had a product so buggy that it would make Sonic heroes blush. Flickering textures and shaders, animations, particularly Sonic's eyes just not working correctly, whatever the fuck was going on here at the start of Starlight Carnival Act 3, constant crashes, save data loss. It was an absolute dumpster fire. What was once a really solid Sonic game that knew exactly what it wanted to be, and also a really critically well-received title considering it was a Sonic game releasing in the early 2010s, was now merely a symptom of the release now finish later sickness that plagues modern AAA gaming. Not that that mattered, as this game really exposed that gaming journalists really just hit copy and paste on their reviews this time.
Sonic hasn't had the best time since making the transition to 3D. Sonic's misfires in the 3D space have been so spectacular and delivered among the worst games ever made so consistently. The novelty of getting an actually good Sonic game in 3D after so long, plus one that was distinctly differently structured from the adventure template the 3D games had followed through to then, did help raise the profile of the discourse and reputation the game enjoyed. On the whole, I would argue that the visual update is clean and reasonable, if not astounding or worth the whole re-release in and of itself.
Sonic had a rough transition to 3D, Sonic Colors is one of the better games. Oh, and it's been remastered, I looked at it for 5 seconds and thought it looked fine. That really was how the reviews for this game were. It got patched multiple times, and 3 years later, it's at a point where, it's alright, it's good enough. It's not that glaringly bad now. It has its quirks, but it's a perfectly satisfactory remaster. But the improvements here weren't enough to turn the game around in a matter of speaking. To this day, Sonic Colors Ultimate remains kind of an embarrassment. Nothing majorly noteworthy, though. A footnote of modern AAA gaming, a footnote of Sonic's 30th anniversary, a footnote when talking about buggy-ass Sonic releases, and a footnote of the COVID era of video game development. But, if you like Sonic Colors, and this game is sat in your Steam library gathering dust, I do have some good news for you. Because it's a tale as old as time, folks. A satisfactory at best Sonic release comes out, and then some of the most talented people in the fucking world decide to give us all our money's worth. And then some. Sonic Colors Ultimate Re-Rainbow is a quality of life mod led by Blue Wolf Blitz. It's a mod that, and I quote the Game Banana page here, aims to properly remaster the game with visuals that are more faithful to the original Wii version. Although I think that's kind of underselling it. Now, I understand that fan game and modding conversational etiquette dictates that you shouldn't compare fan projects to legitimate releases. And rightfully so, because at the end of the day, the fans that are working on this are working purely out of a love for the project. They're not getting paid, they don't have the budget, they don't necessarily have the resources or manpower to achieve the things that major studios can. But for this particular project, I'm going to have to take the handbook of fan game etiquette and feed it to my dog, because, my goodness, it really is coughing baby versus hydrogen bomb in this case. But I do also understand the other side of the fence. The team that worked on Re-Rainbow were able to do it on their own terms in their own time. They didn't have to work under a certain production pipeline or to any kind of deadlines. Hi, Pup from the future here, just wanting to touch on one additional point. I do want to acknowledge that Sonic Colors Ultimate's base release did still provide the groundwork for this mod, so that is a lot of work in of itself. That being said, Sonic Colors Ultimate had a lot of that work done with the base Sonic Colors as well, so technically Sonic Colors Ultimate and Re-Rainbow are not that different in terms of what the project entails. Both are just remastering an existing framework. Anyway, just wanted to touch on that real quickly, because I want to claim that the Re-Rainbow team made Sonic Colors Ultimate from scratch. When I critique the original Sonic Colors Ultimate and compare it to the brilliant Sonic Colors Re-Rainbow, I want to note I am not saying that Sonic Colors Ultimate was made by talentless hacks. I'm sure as hell not saying all of the devs should be fucking fired, because my god, that in itself is another problem with AAA gaming. But that's an entirely separate conversation. Either way, god damn it. I'm not saying that individual people that worked on this project didn't have a passion for it, and I'm not saying that individual people that worked on this project are to blame. But when you take Sonic Colors Ultimate, a game that was budgeted, that we paid money for, and then compare it to Sonic Colors Project Re-Rainbow, I think it's okay to look at this and identify that there is a problem here. I'm not blaming anybody for that particular problem because I'm not equipped to do that, but surely it's okay to look at this and say, we have a problem. You don't have a cure if there is no disease, and Sonic Colors Project Re-Rainbow is the cure. But while I do think this is a great excuse to start up conversations about why the products we're buying aren't better than they are, what I would much rather do is celebrate the sheer talent that went into this project here. Again, whatever problem the gaming industry has right now, of which there are many, the talent we have on display for Sonic Colors Project Re-Rainbow, these folks are the reason why I think the gaming industry needs to get better. Because I want these folks to have the opportunities to get jobs working on official products because they clearly have the talent and the drive. But I don't want these folks to get into those jobs only to be rushed, to be crunched, to be laid off by whatever bullshit is happening. I want these folks firmly, comfortably seated in great jobs in the gaming industry. That is, if that's what they want. Obviously, a huge amount of credit goes to the project leader, Blue Wolf. The results speak for themselves here. There is clearly incredible talent and leadership on display here. And of course, good leadership can only take a team so far. You gotta have an excellent team, which this project clearly had. I really don't know where to actually begin talking about Sonic Colors Ultimate Re-Rainbow. Just looking at the footage should really speak for itself. If Sonic Colors Ultimate looked like a Wii game that had basically been just a little spruced up, Project Re-Rainbow looks like a ground-up remake. Which is crazy because it's not, but this is genuinely one of the best-looking Sonic games now. Sonic Colors always had incredible art direction, and that has really been brought to life properly this time, in a way that feels like it would sit very comfortably on modern-gen consoles. The first thing that will immediately stick out is that this is no longer a big bloom neon fest like Sonic Colors Ultimate's base release was. And that's because it doesn't need to be, because the lighting is much better this time. I don't really know my terminology, so I am falling back a little bit on the Game Banana page, but it says here that light fields have been implemented so that Sonic and other dynamic objects seamlessly blend into the environments, which they didn't in the original release. Sonic looked like a glow stick, he didn't really react to the lighting. Here he actually looks like he's in that world, which kind of should have been something that they were prioritizing in the original release, but I'm really glad that this modding team has achieved this here. Sonic's character model as well, rather than being a slightly prettied up version of the Wii model from Sonic Colors, they're using what I think is the Generations model, which again almost kind of seems like a no-brainer for the studio to do, and I'm not sure why they didn't do that. But boy, am I glad it's been done here. Not only that, I think they've even prettied up this Generations model. I don't know, maybe it's the lighting, maybe it's the world that he's in. No idea, but this is the best this model has ever looked. And there are new animations to fully take advantage of the Generations model. You see, the Sonic Colors in-game model had this little 2D mouth texture rather than actually having a fully rigged mouth like the Generations one does. And yeah, with Ultimate that carried over as well. I don't hate that for an artistic choice, but that's clearly not what this game was going for, and I'm really glad that Re-Rainbow implements that. Now for those dynamic intros as Sonic kind of runs into gameplay, Sonic is a lot more expressive, he's got these little open mouth smiles. But another problem with the original release of Sonic Colors Ultimate was the broken eye animations, which have now been fixed here, which means that Sonic actually feels lively. He doesn't just look like an animated puppet dancing around on screen, looking off into whatever distance his head is facing. He looks lively, he looks conscious. Again, the bar is really on the fucking floor, but it would be one thing for this mod to just fix that. The fact that they did such a nice job with it, and went above and beyond to just making Sonic that bit more expressive, even adding in like little mouth animations, he looks so good. And remember that super busted animation where Sonic seemingly falls down in the fetal position in Act 3 of Starlight Carnival? Yeah, not only did they fix that, they made it look amazing. Once again, taking full advantage of the Generations model's rigged mouth. They've even restored the little shine to Sonic's jump ball, and not only that, they've added little squash and stretch to its animations, which gives some really nice visual feedback. Sonic feels better to play, even though I don't think they've even changed anything about his player set. It's a little less talked about, but Sonic Colors Ultimate was an absolute assault on the ears. That's not me complaining about the music remixes, I actually really like those. It's that the audio mixing was absolutely scuffed across the board, with sound effects that were way too loud. Boy, did I love pulling off a perfect homing attack, but if I was playing the game with headphones, it felt like someone was taking a pizza cutter to my ear. There were also other quirks which I didn't hate, but also just kind of wondered why, such as trick rings, ramps, and dash pads all making the spring sound effect. Just weird. Well, thanks to Mario Tanaka, that's no longer an issue. The audio across the board is mixed much better now, and dash pads and stunt rings no longer make that bounce sound effect, instead making the correct sound effect. There are also some other little nice touches here and there as well. I like the fact that in the credits, we now have the Sonic Symphony version of Speak With Your Heart, rather than the Rainbow mix, which I thought was fine, but it lost quite a lot of the magic of the original Speak With Your Heart, whereas the Symphony version is probably the better version of the bunch. Even though I do still prefer the ending of the original, but that's just a personal preference. I think they also used the Symphony version of Reach for the Stars as well for the opening. And yeah, the little star ending to that opening was a nice touch. Complements the music nicely. Compounding this into a really nice cohesive package is the remastered cutscenes. So the original Wii version of Sonic Colors had for the most part cutscenes that were pre-rendered in the game's engine. What this means is that, yes, it's all rendered through the game's engine, so it all matches the same lighting, the same overall quality as the in-game gameplay, but it's been pre-rendered, so it's basically like having a little MP4 file in there rather than having the animation data. With Sonic Colors Ultimate, once again, they were pre-rendered, this time upscaled using AI, and on the 720p screen of the Nintendo Switch's handheld mode, it didn't look too bad, but my god, on a TV did they look really ugly. Made worse by the fact that the lighting didn't even remotely match that of Sonic Colors Ultimate's gameplay. The cutscenes were just a whole ass fiasco of their own, but it was made weirder by the fact that the animation data could be found in the files of the game. Well, the Re-Rainbow team has taken advantage of this, as they've used that animation data to actually properly remaster the cutscenes, so that they match not just the quality of Sonic Colors Ultimate, but match the quality of Sonic Colors Ultimate Re-Rainbow. So there's no dramatic changing quality for the cutscenes breaking the immersion here. It's all cohesive this time. And the light fields, the way these models look, the camera is truly in love with them. I respect that they've gone as faithful as possible with this mod, so they haven't made any changes to the story or the hilarious comedy in the cutscenes that would make Larry David climax, which means that rather than watching the cutscenes, I'm just kind of looking at them. I'm just kind of looking at them in just awe of how they look. I don't think a Sonic game's in-engine cutscenes have ever looked this good before. Not since Sonic Unleashed, but I think we might have even eclipsed that here. But like, yeah, every single element here has been dramatically improved, and it's not just a matter of fixing Sonic Colors Ultimate. This feels like an entirely separate remaster because it's using the groundwork of the original Sonic Colors and asking how far can we take that with modern technology? How good can that look on a gaming PC? How can we do that justice in the 2020s? And there's just so many tiny little quality of life improvements that you might not even notice at first glance. The wisps that fly out of the capsules are no longer PNGs. They're now 3D models. On the level select, Sonic's running animation now syncs up with the footstep sound effects. There are planets and asteroids that can be seen in the distance in the end credits. There is such clear dedication on display here, across the board from everybody involved, making this the best version of Sonic Colors that you could possibly ever ask for. And it's not actually finished yet. What I played is a preview build, which is available on Game Banana right now. I will put a link in the description. And honestly, this team don't owe us anything. When it comes to ideas for improvement, I have a couple, and I'll mention them in case anyone's watching this that's interested in implementing them, if it's even possible anyway. But I think there is a certain etiquette that I do want to encourage, and that's not to be demanding about any improvements or changes here. They don't even owe us what they've made so far. They don't even owe us a fraction of what they've made so far. They owe us nothing. But okay, so with this mod on, I did experience a few more crashes than I did in the base game. Post-patch anyway. And I don't know how much of that boils down to this mod, how much of it boils down to the original Sonic Colors Ultimate, or just the fusion of the two, because again, mods are doing things with games that they're not really meant to do. And of course, I do want to throw that out there. That applies to basically everything I'm going to say. Attempting to play Tropical Resort Act 3 does cause the game to crash for me. I don't know if anyone else is experiencing that, but it just makes it unfortunate for if you're trying to do like a full playthrough. I'm playing on a relatively high-end gaming laptop, so I don't know if it's a me thing, but I did experience some stuttering here and there, and I believe that is down to Godot. Apparently you need to play a game quite a bit for it to properly like compile all the shaders and all that noise. I don't know the terminology, so forgive me if I get that astronomically wrong. Lord knows I've done that in the past. But it's something where if it's possible to iron out and they want to do that, that would be awesome. I did notice some instances of invisible platform geometry in Asteroid Coaster Act 1. This happened to me twice. And I haven't had a playthrough on Re-Rainbow yet where those have loaded incorrectly, so I don't know if that's something that can be fixed. Starlight Carnival still has a few little quirks that would be great to see ironed out. This first one is a Colors Ultimate problem. It actually wasn't a problem with the Wii version, but during some of the auto-running sections along these light roads in Starlight Carnival, Sonic kind of stutters from left to right quite a bit. I don't know if that's something that they can fix, but it might be worth looking into, if they really want to perfect this. And while we're on the subject of Starlight Carnival, there are a few of the indoor sections that look maybe just a little too dark. There are a few general gameplay bugs here and there, such as this one in Starlight Carnival, where I was just boosting along this track and then it launched me off of the track, and then, yeah. I think that's a script break. I don't know if that's something that's possible to fix. I don't even know if gameplay fixes like that are even on the agenda for Re-Rainbow, as it appears to be much more cosmetic-related stuff, graphics and sound, but it's just something I will throw out there. And that is a problem with the base colors Ultimate anyway. Given that they've kind of gone to the liberty of improving the animations to the extent that they have, it would be really cool if we could maybe get a cooler animation for Supersonic switching rails. The one that's in the base game is kind of lame, so it'd be kind of cool to see that get approached. But again, that's not something I take for granted. It's not a functionality issue or anything like that. But again, I acknowledge that none of us are entitled to those changes from this team. I just think it's wild now that, like, you could just be a guy that's got Sonic Colors Ultimate sitting around on your computer, and you could just download this mod that completely transforms it into kind of the remaster that it deserved to be. And again, I'm not putting the blame on the developers of the original Sonic Colors Ultimate. There is a problem there. At the same time, the Re-Rainbow team didn't need to go this hard. They could have changed the light fields and called it a day. They could have swapped out the Sonic model for the Generations one and called it a day. But there's just so many little details where just so much love has been put into this project that it is at a quality that I would never take for granted. So, huge thanks to the Project Sonic Colors Re-Rainbow team. You guys are doing incredible work. By all means, if you ever want to, if you ever feel like it, call it quits. You don't owe us anything. But as it stands, I cannot wait to see the finalized version. If this preview build is anything to go by, I'm very excited. But okay, folks, I'm going to hand it over to you now. What do you think? Comment below, discuss. And what do you think of the new pup model as well? This is like the first trial run for that. We're going to see how it goes. As always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to support more like it, be sure to hit subscribe, hit the like button, and in the description below is the link to my Patreon page, where for as little as $1 a month, you can get your name in the credits of these videos, with a special shout out going to the patrons in the $5 and above tier. They are Chohenshin, KB, RT0, Carl-X, Hypes, Sad Goku, Dare Denny, SSS06, Kale Bennett, Ken K, Mr. SP, Cyrus the Skeptic, Biotin, oh no, I've used up all of the helium, what am I meant to do now? And Vera Wild. Thank you, good folks, so much for your generosity, and to all of you at home, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. Get out of here.